Hey everybody, it's Chris Harrison here with another episode of the Main Points with Main Place. Today we're going to take a little different approach. I've now reached 10 years of being in the real estate business. And with that anniversary, I thought it would be good to kind of share the history of how I started, where I've gone, where I'm at, and where I hope my business goes. So thanks for tuning in for all the prior episodes, and I hope you enjoy this one especially. Having been recognized for being a real estate agent for 10 years really is a sense of accomplishment. Prior to being in real estate, I was a banker, and I was in that for over 10 years, but I was with different companies. Being in this profession for 10 years means I've made it, and not made it in the sense other than just survived. Because this is a tough business, and a lot of people do get in the business, and not everyone makes it. You know, we all know the statistics of small businesses or people that go into career changes, but knowing that I was able to step into this business, and I had a lot of help along the way, and I certainly will recognize all of those people that have helped me along the way, but being able to come into this business, be a student of the business, study the business, live the business. It's my lifestyle now, is being in real estate. I'm really proud to say I've made it 10 years in this business, and excited for the next 10 years. That's another reason I'm doing this, is to share where I'm going and what I envision for the next 10 years in the real estate business in Macon County. From a very early age, I grew up on a farm, actually. I was involved in the FFA, which used to be called Future Farmers of America. But even then, I had an entrepreneurial spirit. My grandma leased me a small piece of farm ground one year, and I had hogs. I had pig operation basically through high school. That I sold, and that's how I paid for my first year of college. And as I went through college, I took a couple different sales jobs. I always just, and I don't even know where it came from, but I always had this passion and this desire to have my own business and be in control of my own destiny. And being a banker was great. I mean, I had stability, I had training, I had vacation days, I had insurance. I mean, there were a lot of great things about being in the corporate world, but I would always become frustrated, with corporate culture and, just restrictions and, grow, but don't grow too fast. And I'm not the type of person that likes to have, restraints put on. I always had a passion. Even when I was a banker, I would keep a file folder of resumes together. And on the inside of that file folder, I had names written down of businesses that I could go to, because I was in the banking world in the mid 2000s, and banks were changing names. People were getting severed. Things were changing all the time. But I would keep names of, if I ever lost my job, these are people that I would call, and this is who I would go talk to, and these are different professions that I could try. And I was always open to, there's somebody that had a publishing company that ran a specialty trade magazine. I had conversations with him about, what would it take to take over your business, and I know you're going to retire at some point. There was a manufacturing company that I was very close to that we had conversations about, to come in and become the manager. And it was a small, $4 or $5 million company. But what would it take to be the manager of the company and eventually take over ownership of the company? That's just something I've always had in me, as I wanted to own and develop my own business. And again, after 10 years, here we are. So when I finally did make a move out of corporate world, it was, as it usually goes, kind of by accident. I was actually interested in becoming an appraiser, a commercial appraiser. And in our market, we had one appraiser. He passed away. And a year after that, I saw a void in the market. So I started looking into it, and I knew there was an opportunity there. And again, I'd been preparing for this and thinking about this for years. And actually, I went and talked to Carla Brinkotter. And I said, hey, there's a void in the market in the appraisal business. I think I want to get my appraisal license. And she at the time was, the owner of Brink Otter, and said that's great. You could do that, and I'd be happy to help you. And she goes, but you should really think about becoming a real estate agent. I will truly say to this day, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I could have sat in the corporate world or ended up in something else. But she opened my eyes to it, and she believed in me and helped make it happen too. Because it was a big move. I had 2 young kids at home. Debbie, my wife, was working. It was a lot to really even think about that type of change. But again, I'm so glad I did it. So once Carla got me to basically leave the bank and get my real estate license, which was in October of 2013, I made the jump, and I treated it from day one like a job. I talk to people now and they say, oh, I would love to be in real estate. And I go, oh, what makes you want to do it? And they're like, I want a flexible schedule. And I kind of chuckle because you do have flexibility in your schedule, but it's not the type of flexibility that people think. From day one, I treated it like a job. I was at the office at 8 a.m. Still to this day, I am an 8 a.m. office guy. And I think that's important because you can build your routines around that. And every day you're set up, you're prepared, you're dressed, you're ready for success when the day starts. My first, couple years were I don't want to say slow, but it was a grind. Because each deal can take a lot of time to get done, and there's a lot of variables that can go wrong. And if one thing goes wrong in a real estate transaction, my payday is gone. And so that took a lot of diligence really to build up enough of a pipeline, enough of a deal flow to really make the business sustainable for me. And it did, obviously. It very quickly got there. Actually, what happened was it became overwhelming. I went, I mentioned I was there at 8 a.m. All of a sudden I was there at 9:30 at night making copies for the files. I know it was before digital signatures and, all the digital filing, but, there was just so much work to do, so much paperwork to do. I needed help. And actually at that time, Zane Peterson came into the Brink Otter office also. And he had his real estate license, and he had been there some time, and I'd been watching kind of his work habits and his attentiveness and the fact that he was in the office. One afternoon when I was buried, I was stressed, I was running hard. I had a property. It was actually a commercial property that just wasn't working. It wasn't selling. It was for an estate. It was priced too high. And, I'd been working on it probably 8 months, and it was dead. I just couldn't do anything with it. I was about to lose the listing. And Zane said, he said, is there anything I can help with? And I looked at him and I said, if you mean that, yes, there is. And basically I took that property and I pushed it to him. I said, take this, refresh the marketing, refresh the pricing. Here's all the leads I've gotten on this over the last 8 months. Go back and call everybody, tell them there's a new price. Just either I'm going to lose this listing or we're going to sell it. And that really was the start of our partnership that went for a very long time. It was a very successful partnership. And that partnership was built on both of us had work ethics. And Zane absolutely came at the right time for me, and I needed help. And sure enough, through fate, as anything, the properties went under contract and sold and closed. And that was the first deal that we did together, and we shared the commission on 50-50. And it's funny because I even had people, when Zane and I first partnered together, people would say, gosh, I can't believe you're splitting everything 50-50. And I said, that's the only way to do it. That's the only way I know how to do it. Because when we're partners, everything is the same. We're all going in the same direction. And so we even had a comment that it didn't matter if it was $1 million listing or $1 million sale we were working on, or putting a sign in a yard. It's all important. And whatever needs to be done, and we're heading in the same direction. So that partnership was very valuable to both of us. I mean, Zane was new in the business. I was still new, but I needed help. And so we really helped each other get up and going. Zane challenged me. He pushed me. We came to use the phrase disruptors. The economy was evolving. The business is evolving. What real estate looks like, what a real estate agent looks like and does, was evolving. And so we always took the approach that, we're going to do things differently than the way they've always been done. One of the first things is Zillow. 10 years ago when I started in real estate, Zillow was a tertiary website that was just picking up steam. We were one of the first ones to take our listings and physically put them on Zillow. Now there's feeds, IDX feeds, and everything electronically flows to those different websites. But even then, we recognize that the world and society and the attention and the eyeballs of the consumer was going to those websites. So we knew it was important for our sellers to get those listings on Zillow. And some people didn't like us for that. They thought we were feeding the enemy. But at the same time, we knew the trend of where things were going. And again, Zane was part of, what encouraged me to continue on that path of becoming disruptors. As the partnership with Zane and I continued to grow, we started getting a lot more opportunities for both commercial real estate and residential real estate. And from the beginning, both Zane and I did commercial and residential. And, a lot of times we get asked, when did you start building your team and why did you build a team? And it happened fairly early actually in our career. Probably at that 3-year mark, we got our first intern. And it was just a young guy, and we didn't really know what to do with him. And sometimes it could be like, hey, go find names to put on the spreadsheet or build this mailing list, or, will you go take this sign for us? And it was, we knew the real estate market was growing to larger organizations and teams. And that was really our first crack at, having an assistant in a sense. And then we came to have, different assistants. He went back to college, and we hired a couple others along the way. But really then where the disruption came in was when we had the opportunity to start Main Place Real Estate. That actually came from Tim Raycraft, who was the managing broker and the in-house counsel for Main Place Properties. And Tim Raycraft said, look, you guys, you're killing it with what you're doing. It appears you want to grow and create a larger organization just upon your own. And, they had needs with some of their commercial properties that they need assistance with management and leasing and, just more attention on brokerage on their properties. And Tim basically said, you two come over, we'll change the sign to whatever you want it to be, help with our properties, but go do brokerage and go do what you want to do. And I remember thinking, I was loyal to Carla and to where we were, and that was hard. But again, we could see the future. We could see what was happening, where the trends again were going in the real estate market. And it was Zane that said, we're the disruptors, let's do this. And we did. And that was a big jump, back to, 5 years prior to that, leaving corporate and benefits and holidays and all those things, now to we're putting a new name in the market. We have a new logo. We have new signs. We have no reviews. Nobody knows what Main Place Real Estate is. And that was scary. It really was. But again, we took it on as an opportunity, and we both had that attraction to building something that could live on and just build our own market. And and we did. It was actually in this office where I'm filming this podcast right now that we set up shop, and there's 3 offices back there, and there's a huge room right here, and there was 2 of us in this enormous office space. But we hit the ground running, and we worked. We showed up. It was a race to see who could get here in the morning, and in the afternoon we're running all over town in different directions, and hey, can you do this? Can you drop a sign here? Can you grab that one there? It was truly teamwork, in the best form it could ever be. We were just driven by the goal to succeed, and at this point we have. So we're very proud of that. Once we started Main Place Real Estate, it was again in this time of year. I think it was more like September, and it was Zane and Chris in this big office, and we had an assistant here and there, just somebody to help with paperwork and help us, go grab something or move a sign so I can grab it on my way out the door. But a key move we had at that time frame actually was when Taylor Peterson was Taylor Van Natta. She was a broker with us, and she was working at ADM in HR. And I think it was the spring after we moved here, so it would have been 2019. She left ADM. So, and again, I could empathize with that. When I left the bank, she was leaving ADM and came to work full time with us. And she was, our assistant, but also a selling agent too. And I always come back to work ethic, and Taylor Peterson has work ethic too, and she certainly had it then. She could run all day. She could run as hard as anybody else in town, and she was perfectly what we needed, because she'd help bring organization and systems and processes to Chris and Zane, which were not organized and not systematically driven. We knew we needed to be, but that just was not how we were hardwired. And Taylor was hardwired to be very structured and very organized. And she helped us, go from 2 guys selling real estate to really the start of a business. And, with checklists and processes that, some of which we still use today, maybe morphed into other systems, but those initial checklists that we have, Taylor built those. And, meanwhile, she was selling, and she sold a lot. I think to look back at our numbers, we very quickly, between the 2 of us, were selling, $15, $18 million a year, which, is what a lot of the top agents do. But again, brand new company, 2 newer guys in the business, already competing in the top 5 of the market, was something we were proud of. And we know, we didn't take anything for granted. We knew it wasn't luck. We knew it was work. And that's what we just continued to build upon. Taylor became so successful as an agent that we needed another assistant. Another key hire we made, an absolutely key hire, was Dixie Haskins. Dixie, had been a realtor also, and she was kind of getting over the grind of the nights and weekend parts of the business. And she was actually in our office showing one of our properties, and she kind of looked around, and I think, Taylor was here, and we had a couple other agents on the team already. And she looked around, and she's like, you got a lot going on here. And Taylor actually said, yeah, we're really looking to hire an assistant, somebody to just be our full-time assistant. And Dixie right off the spot goes, I do that. And Taylor told me that, and I was like, there's no way, no way she would come, just be our assistant. And I'm so thankful that she did, because she's the rock now. She is, she's taken all those organizational systems, all those processes. She's so good with the transaction management and the document processing that, she's that detail person that just, she loves being on the computer and getting it done right, which is great for me and for our agents, that we're focused on the deal. We're focused on the property. We're focused on our clients. We're focused on, the big picture of getting it done. Meanwhile, Dixie is making sure all the details are getting done behind us too. So she is absolutely one of the key hires we have. If there's a theme to any of this, it's having the right people, and it's having people that have the same values as you, the same work ethic as you, and just that same desire to achieve and succeed. That's probably the biggest key. You have the right people around you. After we hired Dixie to be our full-time office manager, our growth really took off. We had added agents. Taylor was a full-time agent. We had some other agents on board, and actually COVID had accelerated the real estate market, but our business really started to take off, and it was with agents and just volume of business. Zane and I started having challenges with where are we spending our time, but we always said, man, if we just focused on residential, how good could we be? Then an hour later, we'd say, man, if we could just be commercial agents, we'd be awesome. That theme started coming up more and more among us in a very healthy way, and in a challenging way. What are we doing? What should we do? And it was a hard question because we both loved commercial, and we both, really enjoyed residential. And we had a system that was built for the residential side of the business. That continued on. That question, that challenge continued to pop up. I went to a conference with a few of our agents, and I sat in a team building course. And in that session, there were some team leaders that were talking about what it takes to build a team and manage a team and run an office. And I looked at them and I said, they are residential only guys. I was with one of my other agents then in that session, and I looked at him and said, I'm going to quit commercial. And he even was like, whoa, wow, like that's something. It's one thing to say that in the moment. And then I watched myself for the next day and for the next few days to say, am I changing? Was I just in the moment when I felt that and said, I'm going to quit commercial? I got back the next week and I went and talked to Zane and I said, I think it's time for me to just focus on residential. I think we can be very successful. We've always said we can do it, but somebody has to put the time in. And Zane kind of shook his head and kind of had an awkward grin on his face. And then he goes, well, I suppose now's a good time to say that I just want to focus on commercial. And so in a way, it was a good transition to say, Zane, go do commercial, go kill it, go crush it. And I'm going to take over residential and run it and crush it. Partnerships have a life, and they, it had its life, and it was great. I don't think either one of us would be where we are now without that. And it very seamlessly, let us each focus on what we were most passionate about. And that's what's exciting now with what I have going on is all I focus on is residential. I still have great friends come to me. I had a great friend today say, hey, I'd love an office space in your building. Who do I talk to? And I go, call Zane. And Zane took care of it. And Zane, likewise will say, hey, I sold this couple their house. They want to sell it now. Here you go. So we still have a great partnership in that sense, but Zane's doing commercial, Chris is doing residential. Again, what that does is I am wholly focused on residential, and now more so I'm spending my time on development of residential real estate agents. I am now helping people see the opportunity of becoming an agent themselves. Given our past and what qualities we demand is, there's some tough criteria that it takes to be a real estate agent, to be a successful real estate agent. We just bring those qualities and say, if you want to be an agent for Main Place, these are the things you have to be. You have to be honest. You have to be innovative. And you have to work really, really hard, because we know that's what it takes. As I've just spent my time on residential and spending my time on developing residential agents, I've got a lot more assistance I can provide people. Our company, we've got a lot more traction. We've had Main Place Real Estate for 5 years now. For anyone that's new into the business, this is a great place to be because of the resources that we have. Having Dixie as a full-time office manager, having Katie as our marketing assistant. There's just a ton of opportunities for an agent to come in and do what they're good at. The hardest part of my first couple years was I had to be the marketing person, I had to be the sales person, I had to be the advertising person, I had to be the paperwork person, I had to be the documentation person. I even had to do my own finances too. And that's great when you're doing just a little bit. But the reality is, of all those jobs that I had to do, there were only a couple that I was really good at. And so what we do now is, as agents come in, we say, hey, all those other things, don't worry about it. You just focus on finding new leads, talking to new people, and helping them buy or sell their house. As I cross this 10-year anniversary of being in real estate, that's a milestone. That is a threshold that, you know, they say a birthday is just a number, and, you know, really at 7 years and 8 years and 9 years, it was really just a number. And here at 10 years, I didn't expect it. Honestly, I didn't expect to have reflection like this until I started getting the congratulations, or I saw the posts that my team put up that said, you know, 10 years in the business. And as I started looking at that, I started thinking about that. One, I reflected on it, which I've done, but two, I do what I naturally do and go, okay, what's the next 10 years look like? And that's really where I'm spending a lot of my time right now, is what do the next 10 years look like for Main Place Real Estate? And for me, and for Chris. And it's all, you know, the best laid plans, you know, but I also believe you got to put plans in place. And I believe, you know, Main Place Real Estate is going to be the premier real estate agency in Decatur. I think we have the innovative tools, we have the right people in place, we've got great support, and we've got great people on our team that are going to make it happen. What that means is, I think this is going to be a place that's going to give old and new agents an opportunity to thrive and succeed. And we really want this to be a place that they can thrive at. And, you know, I mentioned if somebody's, you know, nearing retirement, if they're looking at the last, you know, 5 to 10 years of their life as a real estate agent, they're looking at their life as their business. What do they do with that business? You know, we're in conversations with people to say, hey, come over here, we'll help you retire. We'll help take care of your clients. We have the younger agents that are hungry and want that business. You know, you help transition that business to them, thus to us. That helps you get paid as you move on down the line into retirement. So that's an important thing that I want to, you know, make available to the agents and to the real estate community. Really what's important for Main Place to be is a place where agents can succeed. And again, whether they're brand new agents or people that have been somewhere else, I want them to be able to come here and have all the tools, all the innovation, to really thrive as a real estate agent. I'm especially going to be looking for people that are in other careers right now. You know, find me a good banker that's bored of what they're doing right now, but has a great work ethic. I'll teach you to be a real estate agent. And that's where my passion is. That's really what I want to do with the company and where I see it going for the next 10 years. So where I'm at with my business side of things is, you know, I'm helping train people. I'm helping people understand our contract, understand properties, and understand people, which, you know, those are probably the people part is the hardest part, but I think that's also the most important part. I had an agent in my office this morning that had a back-to-back closing. Everybody was upset. Everybody was mad at everybody. And she even said, I wonder why we do this. And I let her vent and then kind of calm down and then she looked at me and I said, do you know why we do this? I said, because people need us. Because all those people that were at that closing table that needed to buy, needed to sell, needed to buy, needed to sell, that whole domino effect, they couldn't do it on their own. They could barely do it with professional agents by their sides, because there were other agents involved too. We work greatly with all the other agents, but clients need us. This is an emotional process. This is financially challenging. This is a large purchase in your life. The clients need professionals by their side. And so my view of what Main Place Real Estate is here to do is to hire and train agents, to make them prepared to help the clients. As I look forward to my next 10 years, and I have to say, me personally too, is there's things I need to take care of. My health is probably one thing that, it's great to be a good hard worker and, you're diligent, but, with that comes stress, poor eating, and poor exercise habits. And I'm dealing with that now, and I'm dealing with the consequences of that, but I'm also proactively right now dealing with how to fix those problems. That's what I see, but then also like the community. I think it's known that I'm on the park board. I'm also on the United Way board. I've got a lot of passion for projects that don't even have boards. The downtown area. When I first moved to Decatur, I lived at 230.5 West Main Street in an apartment. That gave me an affinity to downtown from the first time I stepped foot in Decatur, especially downtown Decatur. The Barnes Citizen Building, that's a passion project to me. I'm not even on that project right now, but I want something to happen with that. It can be put to work to help make some monumental things happen in Decatur. In Decatur, both downtown, regionally, I know there's a lot of great things happening with university and corporations. I just want to be part of it, not because I want to be part of it. I want to help make it happen. I don't care about, having my name on the board. The Farm Progress Show. From the beginning, when I was at the bank, we provided a small loan for Progress City. So that's something very exciting too. So thank you for tuning in for this. I hope you found it interesting. If you didn't, tune in next week. We'll have something a lot more interesting, I guarantee. But this was important for me, really to reflect upon my 10 years in the real estate business. And I want to recognize again that the key people that helped me get to where I am. And really, for those watching, be ready for the next 10 years, because there's going to be some even greater things happen, and I won't be done after that either. So to anyone else watching, maybe you're new in business or not sure if you want to step out on your own. I don't care if you want to be in real estate or you want to be in insurance or you want to be a lawyer or whatever it is. Find your passion. Find what you enjoy doing. Find what on a weekend when you've got free time, all you want to do is study what you're in. If that's how you feel about an industry or a product or whatever it is, if you have that level of passion and you put the hard work behind it, anything is possible. But so again, if you're out there and watch this and are thinking, should I go for it? Call a friend, call somebody that can support you, and go for it. Thanks for tuning in. To check out past or future Main Points, find us at YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.